On the GDP data, did the CSO make us look poorer? A research report from JP Morgan points out that the reason why the GDP is way below people's estimate may be because it has been deflated by over 30%. If it is deflated by a smaller deflator, then the GDP will probably be close to 8%. Latha Venkatesh now joins in and explains what JP Morgan is saying. Latha?
Thanks, Anuj. Well, all the GDP numbers or GVA numbers we get are actually counted in current prices, in today's prices, and then they are brought down to 2011 prices. Now, what appears, according to the JP Morgan, the problem is, while the CSO has correctly brought down the GVA number, when it was bringing down the taxes, it brought it down too much. It deflated it, over-deflated it, and that is why you got a smaller GDP number. If you deflated it correctly, then probably we grew at 8%. So, in that sense, the CSO probably made us look poorer. Just to take the explanation forward, basically, what are the jargon we are dealing with? We are dealing with GVA. This is the total amount of value that we have added in 1 year. To it, you add net indirect tax. And then you get the GDP. Now, why do I call it net indirect tax? You have to add the entire indirect tax and take out subsidies. Then you get net indirect tax, add that to the total value added, and you will get the total GDP. Now look at the 2 quarters that have just gone by, that will come up for you. In the Jan-March quarter, the GVA grew by 6.1% and the GDP grew so much higher at 7.5%. A difference of 1.4 percentage points came from taxes. Now in April-June, it's exactly the opposite. GVA has grown very well. Compared to the previous quarter, it has grown very fast, 7.1%. But looks like the addition before you make it to GDP has gone wonky. Now what JP Morgan says is that the tax in the Jan-March period was deflated very little, just by 2.6%. But the net indirect tax in the current month, that is in the April-June quarter, got over-deflated. You took the tax and when you adjusted it to 2011, you cut it down by 31%. If you had not cut it down so much and cut it normally, then you would have got a much higher GDP number. So just as the GVA grew 7.1%, it would have grown by a good 1 percentage point more, you would actually have got a GDP number of 8%, which according to them is the correct number. Now this is JP Morgan's position. They are expecting that in future revision, when the revised numbers are announced, you will actually realize that 1 quarter ago we didn't grow all that badly, we grew well. Now just to explain it in more layman terms, this is not JP Morgan, this is just me trying to make sense of these numbers. Let us look at the current prices of GDP. GDP at current prices in the quarter gone by, we created a total gross value added without making any adjustments, just adding all the cars and matchboxes and agarbattis we produced. We produced 30.30 lakh crore of goods and services. The taxes we paid out, again this comes straight out of the budget, we paid taxes of 2.1 lakh crore, and therefore the total GDP in current prices was 32 lakh crore. Now what was the job of the CSO? To get all that at 2011 prices. When they reduced it to 2011 prices, the GVA, gross value added, fell by 15%. And the GDP also logically should fall by 15%. But the net taxes, look at the extent it has fallen. It has gone down by 38%. Why would you want to deflate net taxes so much? There is some calculation error over there. Again, I'm just recasting what JP Morgan says. If we had brought it down by only 15 to 20%, we would have had a higher tax number, probably about 1.7 lakh crore or 1.6 lakh crore. Then the total GDP would have been 27 lakh crore in real terms, and our growth would have been 8% or 8.5%. Hence, has the CSO bungled again? Has it made us look poorer than we actually are? That's the question.
All right, Latha. Thanks a lot for that. And Bose would say we didn't really need that bungling up, if indeed.